I think the OKC Thunder easily have the brightest future among all the teams in the lottery, which may be a surprise because they have the 12th pick in this draft, and are slated to get one of the true blue chip prospects. But when you look at the OKC Thunder currently, you see all the signs of potential to be a contender for years to come. Established cornerstones, high upside young talent, as well as the assets to make any move they really want to. This was a team many thought would be towards the bottom of the league this year, but they shocked many by making the play-in and almost making the playoffs. With the pieces they have, the moves they can make, and options at pick 12 in the 2023 NBA draft, the rest of the NBA should be terrified of this Thunder team. It all starts with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. SGA had a Hall of Fame caliber season this year, and if you think that's a stretch to say, just look at the numbers. He's one of just 6 players in NBA history to average at least 31 points per game on 62 true shooting percentage in a single season. The 5 other: Damian Lillard this season, James Harden in 2020, Stephen Curry in 2021, Joel Embiid in his MVP season, and Kevin Durant in his MVP season. His 31.4 points per game are third most in OKC history for a single season, behind only Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant's MVP seasons. And while he finished 4th in the NBA in scoring this season, that really speaks to how wild the scoring was this season, because SGA produced at a level that would have won him the scoring title in 32 of the last 58 NBA seasons. He was productive, he was efficient, he was a super positive impact on the court, he was first team All-NBA for a reason. The Thunder weren't expected to be good, and they almost made the playoffs. These weren't empty numbers, these were numbers that contributed to wins. He's only going to be 25 years old next season, and I think he's proven he's a future superstar, and the player the Thunder should be building around. Josh Giddey was also incredible this season. His production and efficiency took a leap from year 1 to year 2. He's an incredible playmaker, he's the best connecting passer in basketball in my opinion, and he also has shown he can handle primary reps as well. The vision, the creativity, all of it is off the charts. He showed improvement with his scoring as well that I was very encouraged by. His aggression was better and more consistent, especially compared to what we saw prior to the NBA and during his rookie season. I still don't know if he'll ever be a great scorer, but I do think he's well on his way to being a really good scorer, one that's good enough to expand his passing ability, which is most important given the role I think he's going to be playing on this OKC team. A 6'8" elite playmaker next to an elite scorer that's also a really good playmaker is a really good foundation to have, and the fact that OKC has that, and that's just 2 of the things that I'm talking about right now, and there's a lot more to talk about. It speaks to how special this team has a chance to be. They also have Jalen Williams, aka J-Dub. He was the 2nd best rookie in basketball this season, and a lot closer to number 1 in terms of best rookies in the league than you would think. I thought he had a real case for Rookie of the Year. 14.1 points per game on 52.1 field goal percentage on a team that wins 40 games is really impressive for a rookie. He's a versatile player, he can play the 2 and the 3, handle reps at the 1 and the 4 as well. He's a high field player, he's a good passer, can play on and off the ball, has potential to be great defensively. He really doesn't have any flaws on tape that are noticeable. He's not perfect, he could improve as a 3-point shooter, he could get a little better defensively in terms of consistency, but there's nothing I see on tape and feel like it's a flaw. Honestly, he reminds me a bit of what I thought Justice Winslow was going to be when he entered the league in 2015 as a top 10 pick that many viewed as a steal at pick 10 because he was projected to go like top 3 to top 5 in that class. A do-it-all Swiss Army knife player with positional versatility. A similar caliber player, in my opinion, that we can look at and say, This is a fair, realistic, high-end outcome, in my opinion, would be prime Andre Iguodala. For those who don't know, prime Andre Iguodala was a 15 to 18 point per game, 5 plus rebound per game, 5 plus assists per game player with elite defense. And I think that's what J-Dub can be in the NBA, and it's looking like that pick was an absolute steal at pick 12. Then you have Chet Holmgren, the number 2 overall pick from 2022 from Gonzaga. He missed this entire rookie season due to an off-season injury at a Pro-Am event, but I am excited for his rookie season in 2024. He's a tall, mobile, skilled, high-motor, elite shot-blocking big. He can hit jumpers, handle the rock a little bit. It's not like he's Kevin Durant or Paul George or Brandon Ingram. I do think he's a bit further along than Mobley was offensively when Mobley was entering the league coming out of USC as that 3rd overall pick. I would say that Mobley is a more fluid player. He does things in terms of physicality that are a bit ahead of what Chet will be as a rookie, even with Chet adding some strength. Mobley was just a slightly bigger prospect entering in. Chet was 195 entering the league. He's likely around 205 now. Mobley was 215 entering the league. So there is a bit of a difference physicality-wise. But I do think that Chet is more aggressive as an offensive player. He's also a better shooter than Mobley was entering the league in terms of free throws, in terms of three-point shooting. So I think that Chet being more aggressive and a better perimeter scorer off the bat will mean he projects to have a better offensive rookie season than Mobley, but not quite the defensive season. Mobley had maybe the greatest defensive rookie season of the modern era. That's how special he was on defense. He was borderline all defensive player of the year level good, and we saw the progression he made. He finished top 2 or top 3 in defensive player of the year in his second NBA season. So I don't think it's a knock to say that Chet won't be that entering the league, but I do think Chet has a chance to be a really good defensive player as a rookie and bring an impact on both ends of the floor. He's going to get bullied by Jokic and Embiid. What player doesn't? That's not a concern to me. It's not his job to play 1v1 against those guys. That's not how NBA basketball works. He's going to be a help side rim protector. He's going to protect the paint as a roamer. He's going to hold his own on switches. I don't think he's going to be like Bam Adebayo, who in my opinion, Bam is actually the only true 1-5 defender in the league that can truly switch 1-5. I don't think he's going to be quite that. But I do think that he will hold his own on switches. He has good defensive range due to his mobility and his wingspan. I think he's going to be in the running for Rookie of the Year 2024. After the draft and probably after Summer League, actually, I'm going to do my Rookie of the Year preseason power ranking. So he's probably going to be there. I understand some concerns about his physicality. But honestly, I think it's a bit overblown. I also think it's a bit undersold. I think some people act like it doesn't matter at all. It does matter to a certain extent because this is the NBA. There are bigger and more physical, and there are going to be some players that can just outmatch him. At the same time, you look at him in high school. He was really good. He dominated whenever he faced other 5-stars. He was really good in college. He held his own against Jalen Duren. Jalen Duren is one of the most physically ready one-and-done prospects I've ever evaluated, and Chet more than held his own. Both of them kind of struggled on offense, but Duren wasn't doing much offensively, and I love Jalen Duren. You guys probably know that by now based off the way I talk about him on this channel, but he really had nothing for Chet. He's so dominant in Summer League. He set a single game record in Summer League history, I believe, with 6 blocks. And yes, he does have his moments where he gets outmatched. They are on tape. There are only 2 players I've ever watched on tape that truly dominated Chet Holmgren. There are guys who have outmatched him physically, but in terms of truly dominating, there are only 2 players. Kenny Lofton Jr. and Victor Wembanyama. Kenny Lofton Jr. plays a style of basketball that doesn't work in the NBA. If it did work, he would be playing all the time. That's not a big concern. It's not like they're going to bring out Kenny Lofton and just stall the offense and stall what's working just so we can try to score on Chet. Victor Wembanyama, the other one that I saw like just dominate him, is maybe the best prospect of all time. And is a demigod of basketball. So if that's it, like the only two players that we have seen, at least I have seen, that have dominated Chet on tape are a player that doesn't play a style of basketball that's functional in the NBA, so we won't get many, if any, minutes, and the best prospect of all time, or potentially the best prospect of all time. That really speaks to how good Chet is. Again, he went up against college-level athletes, that a lot of them older than him, and he was dominant. So, I do think he will be fine in the NBA. And when it comes to injuries, the one injury that cost him his rookie season was a freak injury that could have happened to anyone. He doesn't have an injury history prior to that one. So unless it becomes a trend in the NBA, I wouldn't worry too much about it. And I'm not going to project injuries based off what we've seen already, because I still don't think that's fair to a player. If it happens, it happens. But until it happens, I'm not going to act like it's a big concern, because there's just no reason other than one freak injury that suggests that he is an injury-prone player. So, I said my piece about Chet. This was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be as far as the section goes. We have a lot more to talk about after this as well. But to wrap it up, I do think that outside of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, this is the most valuable player the Thunder have. So we have to talk about draft options, and I have 6 players I want to talk about. 3 are if the Thunder trade up, and 3 are if the Thunder stay at pick 12. The Thunder have the assets to move up in this draft. They have a kitchen sink worth of future picks, and with the new rules in the CBA, it might be wise of them to shed a few of those picks, whether it be for players, whether it be to move up in the draft, because they're not going to be able to pay all of these draft picks. They also have expendable young talent, so you'll get the roster and say, well, it's great that we have all these assets. We have these draft picks, we have these young players. We're not going to be able to pay all of them, so why not package those players and picks to put yourself in a position where you get the guy that you are comfortable paying. So I think they could move up to like that 6 to 10 range realistically, if they really wanted to. Top 4 is probably out of the cards. I think the teams in the top 4 are comfortable with, obviously Victor, Scoot, Amen, and Miller. Like, they would rather just draft those guys. And 5th overall, that 5th pick, which is held by the Pistons, it's unlikely that the Pistons would want to move down that far, but if they really want that 5th pick, they do have the assets to move up, because they have all the assets in the world. So if they move up to like that 5 to 8 range, the 3 names I like start with Jarvis Walker, the forward from Houston. He's a do-it-all player, versatile on both ends of the floor, has on and off ball versatility, the best non-Wembanyama defender in the class, high feel, good passer, NBA ready frame, good athlete, high floor player that will fit in with what they want because he can affect the game with scoring, but doesn't need to score to be extremely effective. So he would fit right in, be a great long-term piece for them. And honestly, Jarvis Walker could fit on any NBA team. So I think that anything I say about him here, I could say about the other 29 teams in the NBA. He's just a super safe prospect with a pretty high ceiling. Then you have Cam Whitmore. Of these 3 players I'll talk about for trade-up options, he's the highest ceiling. One of the youngest players in the draft, elite athlete, the best pure power athlete in the class, NBA ready frame, great cutter, good catch and shoot player. So He has off-ball tools. It will allow him to play on the wing, play off of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Giddey. He's growing as a creator and shooter and has a ton of defensive upside. He's only going to be 18 years old when he gets drafted, so he's going to be young. He's going to have a chance to grow. I trust OKC to develop a player like this, even though I don't think that Cam Whitmore is a raw player necessarily, but he does need some work. But I like his fit with his OKC team. You could slide him into that 4 spot or the 3. You can honestly interchange J-Dub and Cam Whitmore if you draft Cam Whitmore at that 3-4. And Asar Thompson is the final name for trade-up options. Elite defender, one of the best defenders in the class, great secondary passing playmaker, love him as a connector, can play off the ball in transition and as a cutter. He's growing as a scorer. He has the confidence. He wants to improve in that area. He's working on his shooting form. He's the one I think would be the most clunky fit off the bat because of the lack of shooting, which is true for the other two as well. But I'm a bit more confident in Jarris as a shooter, and definitely more confident in Cam Whitmore as a shooter. But all 3 of these options would be really good picks for them, and if they do trade up, these would be great gets and really something that would push this OKC team into like real playoff contention. And if they stay at pick 12, the 3 names I like for them start with Zach Howard, a 6'8" wing, great shooter, one of the best shooters in the class, really good handle, can create off the bounce, good passer, plays well on and off the ball, needs to work on his defense, but what he brings on offense is really valuable and would fit perfectly with his OKC team. Derek Whitehead, super young, like Cam Whitmore, one of the youngest players in the draft. NBA ready frame at 6'8", 220 pounds. Good 3-point shooter, so improvement in that area. Has on-ball scoring upside. It might be a case where he just didn't get to show it as much at Duke. He was dealing with injuries. He has an injury going into the draft cycle, so you probably won't see him in Summer League. He just got foot surgery, but the flashes with him are incredible. If he can get back to what he was athletically in high school, that's a top 5 value at pick 12 in this draft. And Bryce Sensabaugh, one of the best pure scorers in the draft. OKC has a lot of playmakers already, so getting a scorer like this could be valuable. NBA ready frame, like built like a tank, built like Grant Williams or Draymond Green, like as like a teenager. Great 3-point shooter, really good shot creator, and has some passing flashes as well. All 3 of these options are on the table. All 3 of these guys are likely going to be on the board at that pick, and they can't go wrong with any of them. OKC was known for the biggest what-if in NBA history for years. They drafted 3 straight MVPs in 3 straight years. A combined 3 MVPs, 9 scoring titles, and 5 assist-leading seasons. But they broke up that core way too early. And then, after one piece was traded away, eventually, over time, the other 2 pieces left as well. They've rebounded from losing all 3 of those pieces, though. That's very clear, and they've done a great job of getting assets in return for their losses. Now they have their franchise cornerstone. They have pieces around him, as well as the assets to keep building around him and build a contender for years to come. They're well on their way to doing it. I think that they will get there eventually. And when they do, the rest of the NBA should be terrified. But that's the end of this video. If you made it to this point, thank you so much. Again, haven't already, like, subscribe, hit notification bell, I'm notified whenever I release a video. I make videos about basketball all the time, so if that interests you, really think you enjoy this channel, so liking and subscribing are the 2 best ways you can help me out. Help support the channel, helps me on the YouTube algorithm so more people find my videos, so in turn, helps the channel grow so I can make more content for you guys in the future. Let me know what you think about OKC in the comment section below. Love to hear your thoughts. This was the one I was most excited to make a video about because OKC is a really fun young team, like a lot of the young players. I think they have an interesting future ahead of them. Let's try to get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. But with that being said, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.